Very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. And when I saw the amounts that were being talked about in this debate, I couldn't help but think about an organisation which does brilliant work in my constituency called Haringey Giving, which is set up and managed by residents. And it allows various groups to make applications to it. In the 5 years that Haringey Giving has been operating, they proudly boast that they've been able to support 136 local grassroots organisations and help thousands of people in the community through the provision of £900,000 of funding. £900,000 of funding painstakingly raised and distributed over 5 years, and it's still not the same amount that this government was able to spend on severance payments in the single year of 2022 to 2023. And I notice when I've been door knocking, and in recent times doing rather a lot of it, in really interesting parts of the country. And one thing that people have fed back to me is chop and change. People don't like chop and change. And what this motion does today, really, it's not a critique, as the member before me mentioned, about salaries for doing political work, such as being an MP in general. It's criticising the chop and change of this government, of the various governments since 2019. This Christmas just gone, Haringey Giving held their annual fundraising drive, with local residents and businesses all playing their part. We managed to raise £17,000. £17,000, about the average amount received by the 20 cabinet ministers who claimed severance payments in 2022 to 2023. In fact, the member for Great Yarmouth, who many have quoted in today's debate, could have kept one of his severance payments and donated the other to Haringey Giving. And if he's listening to the debate, he still has a chance to do that. And it would have been double the total that they raised in December. And I say this, Mr Deputy Speaker, because it's the difference between the real world and the lives of so many of our constituents. Because when we talk about these severance payments, I think it's vital to remember exactly what is happening in the country as a whole. When at advice surgeries, families come to the advice surgery, a child has no teeth, stubs for teeth because there have been no dental appointments, or a family that I have heard from who have had a pair of shoes. One child wears them to the sixth form one day, and then that pair of shoes is available later on for the weekend for another child to use to do a part-time job. This is the sort of child poverty that we are talking about. The headline 12-month inflation rate started the year at 9% and ended the year at 10%, peaked at 11% in October 2022, the month in which 38 ministers claimed severance payments. Food prices rose especially fast, with ordinary families facing a 19% increase in the cost of their weekly shop from March 2022 to March 2023. These amounts of money really matter because they buy things like food and shoes, and they should not be going into the pockets of ministers who have failed and who have been through the revolving doors and become ministers again. The average pump price for petrol and diesel hit an all-time high, with petrol rising to £1.91 per litre in the last week of June 2022, and diesel hitting almost £2 per litre in the first week of July 2022, the same week that 21 ministers claimed severance payments after joining the coup against Boris Johnson. And of course, we then have mortgage payments. The Bank of England base rate started the year at April 2022 at 0.75% and ended the year in March 2023 at 4.25%, with the biggest spike taking place in the wake of the kamikaze budget. Millions of households saw their mortgages rates soar, and millions more have felt the pain since, as their fixed-rate deals have come to an end, that pain has been made all the much worse thanks to the direct actions of the government. So there we have it, 2022-23, a year when families across the country were struggling more than ever in the face of the cost of living crisis, struggling to put food on the table, struggling to fill up their cars, struggling to pay their mortgages, keep a roof over their heads, facing impossible choices and having to make incredible sacrifices. And that is without mentioning the record peacetime tax burden the government has also imposed on the country during that period. And what was the Tory party doing while all this was going on? Fighting with each other, scrabbling around for promotions, pay rises, severance payments and resignation honours like they were prizes in a game show. During that disastrous year for the country, their only priority was looking after their own backs and filling their own boots. I hope this evening they will think about their constituents struggling to make ends meet, to all the charities in our constituents who work for every penny that they raise. Think about people at the Haringey Living scheme, scraping and striving to raise a few £1,000s. Show a bit of contrition and vote to let these reforms proceed. Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker.
Very much.